As most people know that know me, as most people that know me by now know, I love looking in old archives, be it the Scarborough Library, the Bridlington Library, the Treasure House, anything I can find that's got old documentation of strange and unusual stories. I came across one years ago from a place called Nafferton Slack. Now, Nafferton and Driffield will be about 12 to 14 miles away from where I'm sat here now in Bridlington. But it was the story of an ancient stone that once stood at the side of the road on the left-hand side going down into Nafferton Slack. A stone with many magical properties attached to it. And also a stone that had unusual stories in the immediate area surrounding it. So once again, playing on the phrase that I come out with quite often, location is key. So with that in mind, we did drive to Driffield the other day, and whilst en route we passed through Nafferton Slack. So I did a short bit of film that I'm going to show you now, describing the area and describing the stone and some of the strange events surrounding it. Today we're just coming to Driffield, and we're approaching what's called Nafferton Slack, and I thought it might be worthwhile just telling you about an absolutely ancient story from Nafferton Slack. And it predates folklore, to be honest with you, because it's only spoken about in the annals of folklore as an ancient story, whereas the stories from Willie Howe, from William of Newburgh, talk about it in context as they were written, as though there were still people within living memory that remembered these accounts. So we're approaching now what's called Nafferton Slack, and the story goes that in ancient times there was a stone at the side of the road, a huge stone, and people talked about hundreds and hundreds of years ago seeing this stone glowing like fire as they were obviously not driving in cars, approaching it via horseback or on foot. So this huge flaming stone, and they also said that they could see through the stone and they could see into another world. So how amazing. I mean, this stone has long since gone. There's a few references to the stone at Nafferton Slack, but very few. So I just thought I'd revive the story, and I believe it was on the side of the road, and I think we're talking about somewhere down here, because it said in the dip at Nafferton Slack. What an incredible story. And my phone's going, so that's just going to add to the ambience of this story. We'll just sit with it. But obviously it's all built up now, and you know, we've got habitation that's been in and around Driffield for hundreds of years. But imagine going back literally hundreds of years, there'd have been nothing here and this huge stone at the side of the road. I wonder if it's in some farmyard somewhere and somebody's not even aware of what this actually is, you know, because it's obviously been moved. It could have been moved and broken up, of course, but I would think that it resides somewhere, maybe in somebody's garden even. So just by talking about this, somebody might have knowledge of the looking stone of Nafferton Slack. So a little bit more about the stone. It was said to have wonderful powers, and at night, at certain seasons of the year, the old writings said that it glowed like fire. And I know I've just addressed part of that driving along the road, but there's also a story about someone hearing beautiful music coming from the stone, and sometimes it was lighted at night like a portal, a well-lighted hall. It doesn't sound unlike the story of Willie Howe, which is probably 6 miles away inland on the Wolds. It's a famous burial mound that we will cover in one of these shorts. And stories of bands or streams of elven-like folk leaving the stone through this portal that they described in ancient times and entering the stone. So it's fascinating just how powerful an image this this ancient piece of stone has left on mankind. There is also the story of the Barrow Witch, a lady that is said to have frequented an area around Nafferton Slack. I think she passed away, died 1826. So this person, this witch, actually did exist. The things that she did, the things that she foretold were said to have terrified people in the immediate area. She's said to have sold her soul to the devil at a house or a location around Nafferton Slack. So once again, the word location. Location is key. Fascinating. We've got a place literally nondescript that's got stories, ancient stories of a stone with magical properties. We've got accounts of elf-like beings entering and leaving the stone, magical music, visions into another world. It's incredible. So if just one element of this magical stone, if just one component of what I've spoke about today has truth attached to it, it makes research in the area even more interesting for myself. And these stories shouldn't just be left to fade into the annals of time. I think it's up to people like myself, others, to revive them. As I said before, this stone probably still exists. Wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody, I don't know, owned a piece of land where there's a large stone and there's been unusual happenings, unusual occurrences around the stone over decades within their living memory, and they've just kept it to themselves. Yeah, it could be this actual stone. So if you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe. Let's get this channel growing. Let's do the best we can to get these stories brought back to life. And most of the stories that I'm talking about, most of these short reports that I'm covering now are covered in much more detail in the Truth Proof books. And I haven't got any here to show anybody, but the books are out there. They're on Amazon as Kindles, they're on my website truthproof.uk, and they're also on eBay. So they're not hard to find, and very rarely do I push these books, so I guess I'm doing it now. On that note, we'll leave it. Thank you. Bye bye.